Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. The PTR changes could be hitting the live servers any day now, and lots of people want to know how this is going to affect the standard lineup and the meta of the game, because, quite frankly, a lot of people just don't like the tank meta that we got going on right now. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of bad information out there about these changes, so I'm going to try to do my best to clear that up for you. A problem with balance changes is that it doesn't affect the average player in the same way it would affect a high skill player in a tournament setting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of the characters that had a major change on the PTR, and I'm going to separate how it would affect the average player from a high skill player that's in a tournament setting. We're going to start with the easiest one, which is Sombra. She had two changes. The cast time of her hack was slightly reduced, and also the cooldown was reduced by a couple of seconds. Now, the reason why this is the easiest character to go over is because none of these changes are going to actually do anything substantial for the character. In a recent developer video, Jeff Kaplan said that they don't consider Sombra to be an assassin, but instead she should be considered a disruptor. The problem is Sombra is terrible at both of those. Ever since the character was released, professional teams have been struggling to find any place where the character could possibly be useful. There were some kind of gimmicky strategies that some teams used, but they were very risky and incredibly easy to counter. So for the average player, these changes are a very slight buff to a barely mediocre character. And there might be a slight uptick in the amount of people that play her in the competitive ladder, but that will likely die out pretty quickly as soon as the newness of it kind of wears off. As for the high-level tournament play, she's still a very bad character who simply doesn't do enough damage and whose utility is marginal at best. Right now in tournaments, Sombra has about a 5% pick rate, and even with these changes, I just don't see that number going up much, so I wouldn't expect to see Sombra in a lot of upcoming tournaments. The next character is going to be Roadhog, and the big change for him is Hook 2.0. And oh man, this one is a doozy. I have seen an incredible amount of bad or misleading information about the new hook. I don't know if it's just pandering for likes and views, or if they just simply have no idea what they're talking about, but there is so much bad info out there, it's crazy. So here's the truth on Hook 2.0. The fact is, the new hook is going to have a big impact on both the average player and the high-level tournament scene, but that impact is going to be in completely opposite directions. Alright, so I already made a big video breaking down all of the changes for Hook 2.0. I'll put a link so you can check it out if you want. But in a nutshell, here are the big changes. The hook will always pull the target right in front of you. You can no longer hook targets that are around corners. Hooking someone that is above you is now completely broken. And persistent line-of-sight checks will prevent you from hooking anyone that's anywhere even close to a wall or a corner. Okay, so here's the impact. The average player overall is going to see a buff for Roadhog, because now the targets are going to be placed right in front of them after they're hooked, allowing for easy follow-up combos to kill the target. Actually, you don't even have to do a combo for most of the characters. After you hook them with the new Hook 2.0, all you have to do is hold left click and it will kill whatever target you just pulled in. This makes it way easier for the average players to kill the target that they hooked. For the average player, the broken high ground mechanics and the persistent line of sight checks are not actually going to be that big of a problem. The reason for this is because those players simply don't take advantage of the high ground or cover as much as they should. And quite often, you'll find them just standing in the middle of an open area, and that means that Roadhog is still going to be landing a lot of hooks on those targets. What this means is that for the average skill brackets in the competitive ladder, you'll probably end up seeing a little bit more Roadhog than you have previously. Now, the high-level tournament meta is going to be a completely different story. The new positioning after a hook doesn't really affect high-skill Roadhog players that much because they were already using something called a side hook, which basically does the same thing. Yeah, it's a slight improvement. It's kind of more quality of life than anything, though. However, the broken high ground mechanic and the persistent line of sight checks are going to be really bad for the high skill Roadhog players. And that's because their opponents are going to be using the high ground, walls, and corners for cover as often as possible. They already do this to avoid normal damage, so it doesn't really change anything. They don't need to make any major changes to their gameplay in order to now avoid Roadhog's hook as well. This is a massive, massive nerf to the high skill Roadhog players. I would not be surprised in the slightest if you start seeing the high-level tournament teams using Roadhog a lot less, or just phasing him out altogether. Next character is going to be D.Va, and just like Roadhog, I made a big in-depth video about all of her changes. I'll put that link so you can check it out if you want. Basically, she is significantly weaker now than what she was. But I don't think she's worthless because Defense Matrix is still incredibly powerful. For the average player, her changes are a massive nerf. It's likely you're going to see a big decrease in the amount of people using D.Va simply because they prioritize using her attack instead of her defense matrix. Anyone who does that after these changes is going to see their survivability go way down. And that means that these average players are going to see the mech just get absolutely shredded, and they're just not going to want to play D.Va as much. Now, for high skill players in the tournament meta, it's possible that she will still see some use as an off-tank to supplement Reinhardt, but I think it's more likely that she's going to be phased out and replaced just like Roadhog. And the last character with a balance change was Ana. Her biotic grenade was nerfed in duration and bonus healing, but even with these changes, Ana is still the best healer in the game. She's also the only character that's capable of burst healing. These changes do make her weaker, but she's still incredibly strong. For the average player, I expect to see Ana getting picked quite often, as these changes will have little impact on the average skill brackets. For the high skill tournament meta, Ana will still be the go-to for healing, but I think these nerfs combined with the other huge nerfs for Roadhog and D.Va will have a big impact on the tournament meta. Right now, the standard lineup is Ana, Lucio, Reinhardt, Roadhog, and D.Va. The reason why this lineup is so powerful is because of how quickly Ana and Lucio can heal the tanks back up to full or keep them alive through focus fire. So D.Va's mech will get destroyed a lot faster than before, and to make things worse, Ana won't be able to burst heal as much as she used to. Meanwhile, Roadhog is a lot less effective because of the broken high ground mechanic and the persistent line of sight checks. So even when he lands a hook, about half of them are gonna fail because of it. Just one of these changes might not have completely disrupted the standard tank meta, but all three of these combined make it a lot less effective. For the average players in the competitive ladder, I don't think there's really going to be all that much changing in what characters you're likely to see. You'll probably see less D.Va, maybe a little more Roadhog, and some Sombra here and there, but that's about it. Everything else will likely be unchanged. As for the high skill tournament scene, this patch will likely be the death of the tank meta. What is most likely going to happen is that it's going to return to the 2-2-2 that we had before. Some characters like Reinhardt, Soldier 76, Ana, and Lucio are still going to be must picks and are likely going to show up in almost every single team on every single map. For the last two characters, one of them is almost certainly going to be another tank, and I think Zarya is probably going to be picked most of the time. But it's possible that Winston might make a comeback, and the reason for this is because I think the last hero for this lineup is going to be either Tracer or Genji. As for all the other characters, well, some of them might make an appearance here or there, they'll get swapped in every now and again, but for the most part, they aren't going to be used. It's really unfortunate the way Blizzard has decided to balance this game, because at any given time, one hero is always better than the others of the same role. And that means that the tournament meta gets pretty stale, and it's oftentimes going to be the same thing versus the same thing time and time again. That's actually a really big topic that I'm going to talk about in another video. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. What do you think about all the PTR changes and the new potential standard meta lineup? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe because there's lots more Overwatch on the channel. Remember, always blame the controller because it's never your fault.